We have Grandmaster Vishnu Prasanna, one of Gukesh's most important coaches in his formative years. Congratulations, Vishnu. And how does it feel to have one of your students become a world champion?
Yeah, thank you. And it feels like a dream. When you're playing and when you're teaching, this is all that you think about. This is the ultimate prize to become the world champion. And I'm so happy that Gukesh achieved this so soon. Yeah, I always thought he had the potential, but do it so quickly and it's just brilliant. I'm so happy. Yeah.
Tell us about the last 3 weeks of your life. You became a dad recently, some more moments happening there. How did you balance all of these things and what was going on?
No, I mean, I'm not a big part of Gukesh's team now, so it was just a personal, the stress of the game was just a very personal thing for me. And nothing, I had nothing else to offer there. But I've just become a dad, but yeah, this pretty smooth, except I would say that, the games were definitely very interesting for me. And definitely, for the first time, I felt a little bit more stress. Usually I'm okay, but this time definitely I felt it, and I was not watching everything move by move live, but yeah, I just tried to focus on the kid probably.
Awesome. You were not part of his team this time, but did you get a chance to speak with him before or during the event?
Yeah, we always meet still, and we met many times before the match, and especially right before he left to Singapore.
Okay.
We had a chat. We just went out for dinner, and I thought he had. This is after the candidates. I thought winning the candidates was a bit more unpredictable, and now it was all up to him to show his level. And yeah, I'm glad that he has done it. We spoke before the match, and
And did you get a chance to talk with him after he won? And did you congratulate him yet?
Yes, definitely. He called me after he had settled down, I think, and he was also very happy, excited, and I was also, this is like a little boy becoming something else, right? So, becoming a star. He was already a bit of a star, but now it's completely at a different level. So, yeah, that's a transformation for me in my own mind. So, it was very good. Yeah, I spoke to him after the.
And can you share what was the talk when you spoke to him?
No, mainly about how difficult it was, right? So he told me here in candidates was the most pressure he has experienced, and how he coped with it and so on, and a little bit of the bungee jumping story that he's already shared with everybody, and that he's going for it, and just a little bit, nothing too technical, and just that he was excited. Now he's completely exhausted and needs to rest. I have not heard that a lot from him, but just how he was feeling.
And coming back to the match, were you watching Game 14 live, and what were your reactions?
I was watching it for a big part, and as I was a bit tense early on, and my point of view was that he had to hold this game, and once the position stabilized, I thought it was completely fine, and I stopped actually after that point, and I was just doing something else, and my wife Raghavi, she pointed out that the bar had shot up in Gukesh's favor for some reason, and she tells me that it must be a mistake or something, but I said, I was just shocked to see that, but she pointed out to me, and we were both very excited. There's no coming back from that move, so yeah.
And if it had gone to tie breaks, what do you think would have happened?
I think Gukesh had very good system. I disagreed with everybody about most predictions. I would say I never thought Gukesh was the favorite, and I never thought he was not the favorite in the Rapid and Blitz because he's been training a lot of Rapid. He just hasn't been playing them. So the thing with Gukesh is that he will always have these small, big jumps from training, right? So, yeah, I would say that I didn't think he was not the favorite. I thought it was pretty even in the Rapid and Blitz also. It was up to on that day. I think everything would be decided on that day, and I was hoping that it would end well for him.
Awesome. And Gukesh answers all questions with so much composure, like pretty much like you. Did you teach him this quality?
I wouldn't say that. No, I never talked to him about how to deal with the press or how to present himself. Yeah, nothing like that. No.
And was he like that in your
Yeah.
trainings as well?
Yes. Yeah. He was pretty composed guy, and that's how he has always been, I would say.
And the world has seen Gukesh meditate a lot during the World Championship and even before. And we have heard that you also teach meditation in your academy. So can you please elaborate on that?
No, nothing too tricky or something. It's just that I feel that meditation helps with emotional regulation. I strongly believe in that. So when things are not going your way, I feel that when you do the practice for a long time, you're able to recover quickly from that, right? So I've always felt people, I've felt that with most people, although there could be exceptions, but that's one thing. I mean, meditation is not for focus, I think. I think meditation is mainly for emotional regulation. And, it's something we've always talked about. Actually, I know many years ago I told him that you have to build things which cannot be caught up in a week or a month or a day, right? So you have to build skills which cannot be caught up quickly. And I think physical activity and meditation are two simple things. There's a huge difference when you do something for a year and when you do it for a week, do it for a month. The more you do it, I think it adds up, and it's hard to catch up with that.
Yeah. Another thing is very difficult to not catch up quickly is engines. And you famously, we know that he's not been working with engines until he was a very strong player. So what was your thinking behind that?
Well, I've spoken about this, and there are many reasons actually. And one of the reasons I would say is that to create the tournament scenario in as much as possible in a sense. So when you're playing a actual tournament game, you're not really thinking about, you operate with, you never operate with 100% information when you're playing a game.
True.
Right? So the moment you turn on the engine, you have nothing else to think about, right? So you have 100% information, and you know if it is good, if it is bad, or what's going on. And just to keep a little bit of uncertainty in his mind, right? So, and to operate with that uncertainty, that was my main goal with not using engines actually. And there's something more to the portion, which, turning on the engine switches off.
Yeah.
Right. So the moment you turn on the engine, you might not look for something more in the portion. But without that, you're always looking for what else is there in the portion. So to develop that quality, I mainly encouraged him actually, and not tell him to do anything. I just encouraged him to not use it.
And meditation check, no engines check. What about draw offers? Did you also influence that? Like he just doesn't accept draws or takes repetitions.
That's an absurd rule, I think. And, so that's all. I mean, one thing I've always emphasized is to keep the game going, right? So it's a responsibility to keep the game going. The moment you make a draw offer or try to, it doesn't make sense to play like that.
It's like chickening out.
Yeah, and in the long term, it would not make any sense, right? So I actually thought he had a good chance to win the match for the first time during game 7 and game 8 when he did not take the draw, right? So he played a move queen g2. I was feeling a lot of pressure at that point, but definitely. But I also thought, maybe now this guy will win this. No, that's the first moment I actually thought he could take this match. And everybody's ready to do it at different levels, but to do that in the match is like very, very impressive. I think that was the moment I thought, maybe he will take it all. Yeah.
Okay. And what does this win mean for Indian chess?
I mean, this is incredible, I think. I mean, we all started chess. I mean, I started because of Vishy, and Gukesh started because of Vishy, and the burden has always been on Vishy. And now, I said, like I've said now, that chess has a very relatable hero, and a very young and relatable hero for these young kids to aspire to. And that's brilliant, I think. I mean, I think India will dominate the chess world for the next decade, and I'm hoping that this will become one of the most popular sports in India. Hoping to. Let's see. I mean, yeah. I'm sure we'll hear more about these guys, not just Gukesh. We know Prag, Vidit, and Arjun, all these guys, and Nihal. They're all going to show up with something along, and there will be a huge fight in India, I think. Yeah.
And there's so many Indian youth there, and this was a match of kind of youth versus experience. Ding was already in IM, like very strong player even before Gukesh was born.
Yeah.
So how did Gukesh manage to pull through? Ding has been at the top level for so many years.
Yeah, this was one of my concerns before the match, right? So that's why I thought it would be even, despite Ding's form. And experience not always an advantage, but in certain, the fact that you have felt this pressure before is very important, right?
Yeah.
So this pressure is, one thing I told him before the match is that be ready to experience pressure like you've never felt before, and don't be surprised when it shows up, right? So you're going to be nervous, you're going to feel pressure, just don't be upset, just don't be surprised when it shows up. But Ding has already experienced, and that is hard to teach outside, right? So you cannot teach it, or you cannot recreate it anywhere. So that was Ding's biggest advantage, I think. And I mean, I think Gukesh's adaptability, that's what is crazy about the story, I would say. Nothing, winning the candidates on the first turn and winning this on the first. I mean, that's a crazy part about this story. I mean, it's unimaginable and so difficult to do it, mainly because of the lack of experience.
Yeah. So coming back to your training with Gukesh, when did you feel Gukesh has the potential to become a world champion?
I mean, early on, I thought he could become a top player, right? So we had very early successes. In a few months, he made an IM norm from us working together, and then a GM norm. So I knew he would become a top player.
Even back in 2017 when you started?
2018, 2017, I knew that he has a very good chance of becoming good. He had the right qualities. So, but there are many great players who have not become world champions, right? So, and there is, if you ask me for a roadmap to become a grandmaster, no, I could really plot out something and give it to you, even though it might need some corrections on the way. But how to become a world champion, that's like an elusive thing, I think. And I mean, chess also loves him as much as he loves chess, I guess. I mean, there is no way you can plan this stuff. It is just so hard to, I wanted him to become world champion. I wanted to go for it, aim for it, and so on. But I never thought, for me, it was never a certainty until the moment happens, because you can come very, very close and still never get it. As throughout history, many people have done. They've all come very close, but never gotten this title. So, yeah, you never know till you get it, I think. So that would be my thing.
True, like 140 years of world championships and only 18 have become world champions.
Yeah, so you could always end up as the guy who just lost it, and that's not a pleasant feeling, I think. Yeah.
True. The toughest challenge of coaching Gukesh?
It was a beautiful challenge. I mean, I would say that I had to innovate myself extremely rapidly, and I had to come up with some unique things to feed his appetite for chess, appetite for curiosity. And probably as a coach also, that allowed me to grow very fast. And that is the only challenge. And sometimes he doesn't say anything, shuts himself off. when he's having a bad day. But
Okay.
yeah, especially when that is one thing, but that's his way of coping, and eventually he opens up. But he doesn't take bad results, at least used to, so well. Yeah, but there were not a lot of those, so it was fine.
True, true. Speaking of your coaching, can you tell us a little bit more about your academy, some title plays that you're training? And is there another Gukesh coming up there?
So I'm doing a lot of things now. So I've just started working with it since October, and other than that, I run a grassroots chess academy in Chennai, Madras School of Chess, and I run a professional residential academy in Tiruthangal, which is near Sivakasi in Tamil Nadu. It's been covered a bit, but yeah, so though that I started mainly because of the challenges I had when training Gukesh, and there are a few players there who I hope to see become top players like Bhargav and Sharvanika. There's a young girl called Sharvanika who won the nationals a couple of years ago, and she's number one in India and under 9, and number 2 in the world.
Oh, wow.
In under 9. So hopefully, yeah, we'll see more of her and other players from there. Yeah.
And does the current chess coaching all just go beyond solving puzzles for GM level, or can you talk about what were you like telling Gukesh?
It was never about solving puzzles actually. I mean, I think there is an absurd way to train, and there were parts of it. You know, there's a story where we just solved one portion for 6 hours.
6 hours.
Yeah, I mean, mainly because not that I wanted them to think, but you know, it was a bunch of kids. They refused to let me tell them the answer, and they wanted to find out. But yeah, breaking their heads for 6 hours, and they managed to do it. That is one part of training. I think, you know, when I started training these young talents, one thing I decided was not to do it the traditional way, right? Because I know a lot of people from the previous generation who worked very hard, but could not really break through a barrier, and I did not want to listen to traditional advice or do things the traditional way. So I took inspiration from a lot of outside chess to train almost everybody at that point. So nothing to do with traditional chess training. So puzzle solving is a very small part, and yeah, so mostly on decision making. I would say most of my sessions were on decision making and psychology and strategy, stuff like that. Yeah.
And that's where we saw Gukesh excel. And speaking of calculation there, Carlson mentioned, that Gukesh is a very, very good calculator, but some of the instinct moves don't come to him naturally. That's why he's maybe not so good in rapid and blitz. But did that impact, did you impact that line that he calculates everything till the end?
I think style forms by accident actually, right? So we cannot really decide I'm going to be this player and go there. I think a lot things influence your style, like the main thing that influences it is your personality, right? So whether we can, it's about faith and evidence, I would say. I mean, somebody who's calculating a lot, right? So they're not able to make a decision without enough evidence, right? So somebody who's operating on intuition does not need the same amount of evidence, right? So that's a simple, and also it happened by chance. I would not say I influenced it. We trained to improve actually, right? So we are not really trained to create a style. We train to make better decisions overall. So this was definitely an accident. I mean, we did a lot of calculation stuff, but I've done it for other people also who turned intuitive players. So it was definitely not a planned thing to become so confident. And definitely, I mean, instinct is also part of calculation, I think, but
true.
Yeah, so at some point it will become more and more refined, I think, for Gukesh, and he'll be okay, I think. Yeah.
Speaking of decision making, can you tell us one like off the board decision that Gukesh took that you are really happy or proud of? Maybe selecting tournaments or anything.
No, mostly he's made the right decisions, right? So um, playing on in these games, every game, playing on the 14th game is the best decision. Yeah.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And which books influenced your coaching mindset? We know you have a big library, so.
I mean, it's a fairly unusual title, but to me, this was the most insightful book that I've read. Laskar's Manual of Chess. It's not popular, but this was like eye-opening for me, and a lot of my coaching is influenced by that, even by Laskar actually. So that's one book, yeah.
And thanks for your coaching history and everything. We'll come back to some last questions for Gukesh. So, what's one quality that Gukesh picked from you?
I don't know actually. I mean, I don't know. Controlling emotions, I guess, but maybe.
Your most favorite memory with Gukesh? Go on.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot. I mean, I can't think of anything specific, but when he became the second youngest grandmaster, I would say, and he came to meet me. I gifted him a nice poem, and yeah.
Sorry, a nice
I gifted him a poem actually.
poem.
Yeah. Just I wrote, I framed something for him and gifted it to him, and maybe that. Yes.
Okay. One quality you think that makes Gukesh stand out?
A consistent discipline. I would say I've not seen some other chess player do it, especially chess player. And definitely nobody's been so close, I think.
And lastly, one advice to Gukesh going forward.
I mean, his role would be a slightly different now. He would be the one, he would be chased by the others instead of doing the chasing. And he already knows it, I think. I mean, this is just the start, I would say. That would be my advice. And this is the beginning of forming a legacy for himself. So, yeah, he already knows it. I don't have to give him this advice.
Okay.
Vishnu, taking cue from your answer, do you think as a player, as a coach, now that Gukesh won the candidates and the world championship in the first attempt, in the first chance, do you think as a coach, the expectations from the parents have also gone high to coaches? How are you seeing that everybody wants like youngest, now the youngest world champion bar has gone really high, right? Now everybody who will come to you will have a 16-year-old or 15. How are you taking that?
Probably I'll send them to Waka or something, but I don't know. There's always been that burden on, but I generally refuse to chase those things. Or I think youngest grandmaster should not be so difficult to break that record. But youngest world champion, I have no idea, so don't ask me. That's what I would say.
Youngest candidate also.
Yeah, youngest candidate, all those things I don't know. I have no idea. But I mean, you need somebody like, the kid also should be like hugely involved, right? So if I gave him like 20 things, he was doing 50 things. Okay, so that is not like, he was not waiting for me to say anything. I was just fueling the fire, but the fire was already there.
We also learned about Gukesh's team after the final game. Where do you had a say in the meeting that who should be his team, or do you pick someone?
No. It was all decided by his coach, Gregos, and I do not really have a say. Yeah, and I'm not that involved in his chess for a while now. So yeah, and I mean, I think the team worked out extremely well for him. Yeah.
And speaking of Gayu, did you and Gayu coach Gukesh at the same time, or was there a transition?
Yeah, briefly. 2022, after the Olympiad success, 2022, Waka, this guy, he got an invitation to Tata A and all that.
Yeah.
So I've spoken about this before. Like you choose to have a weakness, and what I decided was to, neglect the opening to the last. Right. So and at that point he joined it after the 2020 Olympiad, and we were preparing for Tata A, WR Masters, and so on. We are preparing very actively, and so 2023 Tata Steel as well as WR Masters. So that is when my role slowly reduced, right? So till he started Tata Steel, I was working with him, but after that it slowly reduced, and I saw him only after 2023 Isle of Man. Yeah, and also not as a trainer or anything, just as a
Friend.
yeah. So for like 6-7 months we are not so much in touch. Yeah.
Right. Thank you so much, Grandmaster Vishnu Prasanna, coach of Gukesh from 2017 to 22. The whole of India wants to say a big thank you for making this champion. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. And Gukesh hopefully is not going to stop with this and win more things. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good, yeah.